That's not an exaggeration. A recent study by the National Institute on Retirement Security revealed that 67% of Americans are drastically underprepared for retirement. And here's the worst part. Most of the damage isn't caused by market crashes or bad luck. It's from 5 avoidable mistakes that happen quietly, over time, draining your savings year after year. If you're 50 or older, this could be the most important financial wake-up call you'll hear, because each mistake you'll hear today comes with a price tag, and it's higher than you think. The real cost of retiring without a strategy. Most people think saving for retirement is the finish line, but what happens after you retire is just as important, maybe even more. Because without a clear strategy, even a solid nest egg can disappear faster than you think. According to Fidelity, the average American couple will need about $315,000 just for healthcare expenses in retirement. That doesn't include housing, taxes, inflation, or unexpected emergencies, and yet, the majority of retirees go into this phase with no written plan. Just hope. Think of it this way. You wouldn't take a cross-country road trip without a map, but every day people enter retirement without knowing how much they can safely withdraw, how to time their Social Security, how to minimize taxes, or how to deal with inflation. And the result? Mistakes that cost thousands, quietly and consistently. What's even more alarming is that 38% of retirees rely entirely on Social Security as their main source of income, but Social Security was never designed to cover 100% of your lifestyle. In fact, it was only meant to replace about 40% of your pre-retirement earnings. That leaves a massive gap most people never prepare for, and it's why a solid strategy is no longer optional. A smart retirement plan should answer a few key questions. How much income will you need after taxes? What's your monthly withdrawal strategy? How will you handle healthcare costs and inflation over 20 to 30 years? Without a real plan, you're not just taking a risk, you're gambling with the life you worked decades to build. How a simple shift in mindset can save or lose. Your retirement isn't just a financial change, it's a psychological one. And the way you think about money during this phase can either protect everything you've built or quietly tear it down. One of the most common and dangerous mindsets is believing that retirement is a time to relax and spend freely because you've earned it. Yes, you've worked hard, but retirement can last 20, 30, even 40 years. That mindset can be devastating. Here's what many don't realize. Your financial decisions in the first 5 to 10 years of retirement have the greatest impact on whether your money lasts. Why? Because of something called sequence of returns risk. In simple terms, if you withdraw too much early on, especially during a down market, you lock in those losses. Your portfolio may never recover. Warren Buffett once said, "The first rule of investing is don't lose money. The second rule is never forget the first rule." That applies more than ever in retirement. The goal now isn't aggressive growth, it's controlled preservation. You don't need to win big, but you absolutely can't afford big losses. Many retirees go from saving mode to spending mode overnight. But the smartest ones shift to distribution planning. That means knowing exactly how much you can withdraw each year without running out, how to protect against down markets, and how to make sure taxes don't eat into your income. Your mindset must evolve. Retirement isn't the end of financial planning. It's the beginning of a new phase where strategy matters more than ever. The right mindset doesn't just protect your money. It gives you freedom, peace of mind, and long-term stability. These are the 5 retirement mistakes that are costing you thousands. Mistake number 1, claiming Social Security too early. It's one of the most common and costly mistakes retirees make. Claiming Social Security at 62 simply because they can. On the surface, it seems logical. You've paid into the system for decades. Why not start collecting as soon as you're eligible? But here's what most people don't realize. By claiming early, you could lose up to $182,000 in lifetime benefits according to research from the National Bureau of Economic Research. Here's how the math works. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. If you claim at 62, your benefit is permanently reduced by about 30%. That means if your full benefit is $2,000 a month, you'd only get about $1,400 a month, every month for the rest of your life. Now consider this. For every year you delay past full retirement age up to age 70, your benefit increases by 8%. That's a guaranteed return backed by the government. Where else can you get a guaranteed 8% return risk-free just by waiting? Of course, this doesn't mean everyone should wait until 70. If you have serious health concerns or lack other income sources, claiming early might make sense. But for many, especially those with a longer life expectancy or a spouse relying on spousal benefits, delaying can create a far more secure retirement. And remember, Social Security isn't just an individual decision. It affects survivor benefits, spousal planning, and your overall tax strategy. Making the wrong move here doesn't just cost you, it can impact your loved ones too. A smarter approach is to treat Social Security as a strategic asset, not just a check. The timing of your claim should be part of a broader retirement income plan, not a rushed decision made at 62 out of fear or habit. Mistake number 2, ignoring the impact of taxes on your retirement withdrawals. Many retirees believe that once they stop working, their tax bill will automatically shrink. But that's not always the case, especially if most of your savings are in tax-deferred accounts like 401ks and traditional IRAs. The truth is, taxes in retirement can hit harder than expected, and if you're not careful, they can silently drain tens of thousands from your nest egg. Here's why. Every dollar you withdraw from a traditional 401k or IRA is treated as ordinary income. That means the more you withdraw, the higher your tax bracket could climb, especially when combined with Social Security benefits, pension income, or even part-time work. And starting at age 73 or 75, depending on your birth year, required minimum distributions, RMDs, kick in, whether you need the money or not. Warren Buffett has long said, "It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep." In retirement, this principle becomes even more critical. If you don't plan for taxes, you could end up paying far more to the IRS than necessary. For example, let's say you need $5,000 a month to live on. If all of that comes from a tax-deferred account, you might need to withdraw $6,000 or more just to cover taxes. Multiply that over 20 to 30 years, and you're talking about tens, sometimes hundreds, of thousands of dollars lost to taxes. Smart retirees take control early. That might include strategic Roth conversions before RMD age, diversifying income sources, using tax-efficient withdrawal strategies, or even drawing down taxable accounts before tapping into IRAs. The key is to reduce your lifetime tax burden, not just your current year's bill. Ignoring taxes is easy, but fixing the damage later, that's expensive. If you're finding this valuable and you're over 50, don't wait. Hit subscribe now. One missed strategy could cost you thousands in retirement. Mistake number 3, failing to plan for healthcare costs. One of the most dangerous assumptions people make in retirement is thinking Medicare will cover everything. It won't. And ignoring this reality has led many retirees into financial stress right when they need peace of mind the most. According to Fidelity's 2023 retiree healthcare cost estimate, the average 65-year-old couple will need about $315,000 in today's dollars to cover healthcare expenses throughout retirement. That includes premiums, co-pays, prescriptions, and services that Medicare doesn't fully cover, like dental, vision, hearing aids, and long-term care. The real threat isn't just routine medical bills, it's the unexpected costs, a chronic illness, a surgery with complications, or needing in-home care. These events can wipe out savings quickly. And without proper planning, many retirees end up pulling from their investment accounts during a down market just to pay medical bills, a move that can derail an entire retirement plan. And here's where it gets more serious. Long-term care is not covered by Medicare. A private room in a nursing home can cost over $100,000 per year, and even assisted living facilities average $4,500 to $6,000 per month. Yet most Americans don't have any plan in place to cover these costs. Warren Buffett often talks about avoiding mistakes that can ruin you. Healthcare expenses are exactly that kind of mistake. They're predictable in that we know they're coming, but unpredictable in timing and cost. The solution isn't one size fits all, but it starts with preparation. That could mean budgeting for higher healthcare expenses, considering a health savings account, HSA, before retirement, looking into long-term care insurance, or working with a planner to model different medical scenarios. The bottom line? Hope is not a strategy. You need a plan for healthcare, because getting caught off guard isn't just costly, it's painful. Mistake number 4, underestimating inflation and its long-term damage. Inflation may not seem like a major threat when you're looking at your monthly budget today, but over 20 to 30 years of retirement, it can quietly destroy your purchasing power. And the most dangerous part, it happens slowly, without warning, until suddenly your money just doesn't go as far as it used to. Let's put this into perspective. If inflation averages just 3% per year, something that costs $1,000 today will cost over $2,400 in 30 years. Now imagine applying that same increase to your groceries, medications, insurance premiums, energy bills, and everything else you rely on. Without a plan to fight inflation, even a well-funded retirement can feel tight, or even crumble. Many retirees fall into the trap of shifting their entire portfolio into ultra-conservative, low-return investments once they stop working. While it's important to reduce risk, going too far can backfire. If your investments aren't outpacing inflation, you're losing ground every single year. Warren Buffett has called inflation a silent tax and one of the biggest long-term risks to wealth. He's right. That's why his own strategy includes assets that hold or grow their value over time, like high-quality stocks and businesses with pricing power. In retirement, you may not want to take big risks, but you still need your money to grow. What's the solution? A balanced approach. That could mean keeping part of your portfolio in growth-oriented investments, adjusting withdrawals for inflation, and including inflation-protected income sources like tips or certain annuities. It also means regularly reviewing your plan, not setting it and forgetting it. Inflation doesn't make headlines every day, but over decades, it's one of the biggest threats to your lifestyle. Don't ignore it. Mistake number 5, keeping too much money in safe accounts. It's one of the most understandable mistakes, yet also one of the most damaging. After decades of working, saving, and watching the market rise and fall, many retirees feel the urge to protect their money at all costs. So they move large portions of their savings into safe places like savings accounts, CDs, or money market funds. It feels responsible, but over time, this strategy can quietly erode the very security they're trying to protect. Here's the problem. Safety doesn't mean stability. It can actually mean slow loss. With interest rates rarely outpacing inflation for long periods, safe money often loses purchasing power year after year. And unlike in your working years, you don't have time to rebuild lost ground. A recent study by J.P. Morgan showed that retirees who kept more than 50% of their portfolio in cash equivalents had a 32% higher risk of running out of money before age 85 compared to those with a balanced allocation. The logic is simple. Low returns plus rising costs equals shrinking lifestyle. Warren Buffett has often said, the risk isn't in volatility. The risk is in not knowing what you're doing. Avoiding all risk might feel comfortable, but it doesn't protect you from the greatest threat in retirement, outliving your money. That doesn't mean you should put everything in stocks or chase high returns. It means you need a strategic mix. Some money for short-term needs, some for growth, some protected from market shocks. This is where thoughtful allocation becomes critical. The goal in retirement isn't to eliminate risk, it's to manage it wisely. Keeping too much in safe places can quietly sabotage your future. The real safety comes from a well-built, flexible plan that can stand the test of time. The truth is, retirement doesn't forgive mistakes. You don't get a second shot at it. You work 30 or 40 years to build your savings, and just a few wrong moves or a lack of strategy can quietly unravel everything. Not all at once, but little by little, through taxes you didn't plan for, inflation you ignored, or income that runs out too soon. The worst part? Most people don't even realize they're on the wrong track until it's too late. But here's the good news. These mistakes are completely avoidable if you know where to look and if you take action now. The difference between a stressful retirement and a stable, fulfilling one often comes down to awareness and timing. If you're over 50, this isn't something you get around to later. Later is how most people lose everything they worked for. The time to take control is now. So if this made you stop and think even for a second, then you need to stay ahead of what's coming. Subscribe to the channel now because every week we bring clear, practical guidance to help you avoid costly traps, protect your savings and make smarter retirement decisions. The stakes are too high to leave this to chance. Don't just hope your money lasts, make sure it does.